Welcome back to On the Rise for Canadians of the Week, breaking down the top 3 Canadians of the previous week. It truly was a very interesting week for Canadians, with a few surprise performances, as well as one clear standout Canadian of the week. And we're going to jump straight into my third Canadian of the week, which comes from the MLS and Toronto FC in Lazar Stefanovic. The 18-year-old Canadian centre-back had a performance which he can walk away and hold his head up high from, as Toronto FC and his club lost 2-0 to Charlotte FC, sending TFC even further down the Eastern Conference, only one spot above CF Montreal at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and now having one win from their last 5. But this was still a good performance from the centre-back in Lazar Stefanovic, an 18-year-old Canadian centre-back who looks like a very exciting prospect and talent. This was against a Charlotte FC side who has a very exciting front 3 and are hitting the groove. In a side that has Wilfried Zaha, Patrick Agyemang, a CanMNT international, and Abada up top. It's an exciting front 3, and Lazar Stefanovic held his own, didn't make any big blunders or mistakes, and was very neat and tidy on the ball and great defensively. And that for an 18-year-old Canadian centre-back against a very good front 3 and a good Charlotte FC side who are in playoff contention is a good performance from a Canadian. And yes, he had hiccups throughout the game. It wasn't a perfect performance from Lazar Stefanovic, but it's an 18-year-old Canadian centre-back into a very difficult game in a very difficult position with a TFC back line that's been absolutely abysmal this season, and the fact he was able to have a performance which he can walk away being proud of and having a good defensive outlet and playing well as a true silver lining in that TFC back line is something very exciting, because it's been a very poor season for TFC. They have a very poor back line, and the fact Lazar Stefanovic, as an 18-year-old Canadian, can walk into that back line and still have a performance which he can be proud of is very exciting. As the 18-year-old Canadian centre-back in Lazar Stefanovic managed a 7.2 match rating, having 77 minutes out on the pitch, as well having the most tackles in the match out of any player on the field, and only going 77 minutes. Truly incredible from the young Canadian centre-back. Very neat and tidy on the ball, always looking to play forward, having 42 for 45 accurate passes for a 93 percentile. 62 touches in the match, as well as 1-for-1 successful dribbles, 4 passes into the final third, and 2 for 3 accurate long balls. Also winning 3 of his 4 tackles in this match. Also, 1 block, 5 clearances, 1 headed clearance, 11 defensive actions. Truly incredible, that stat right there. 4 recoveries, as well as winning 6 for 8 ground duels and winning 1 foul. It was a great performance from Lazar Stefanovic. Like I said, was still having ups and downs throughout the match, but playing against a very exciting front 3. It was a good performance from the 18-year-old Canadian centre-back, and truly a prospect that Canadians need to keep their eyes on, which is Lazar Stefanovic. We're moving on to my second Canadian of the week, and we're sticking around in the MLS to a weekday matchup between Inter Miami and CF Montreal, as my second Canadian of the week is Victor Loturi. Victor Loturi was the standout Canadian in this match and the only player from CF Montreal who has a chance to hold their head up high in this match against Inter Miami, where CF Montreal went out and lost 4-2 to Inter Miami. A very poor performance, but Victor Loturi was able to walk away from this holding his head up high. And yes, I said that already a few times in this video, but it might become a trend between TFC and CF Montreal Canadians throughout this season. But Victor Loturi was a shining light in this game, and he has been decent this season for CF Montreal. As yes, they lost 4-2 in this match to Inter Miami midweek game, but Victor Loturi managed to get on the score sheet, scoring a goal in the 92nd minute for CF Montreal. But it wasn't just there for Victor Loturi. He has done very well at the heart of the midfield, working like an absolute dog. Whether it's defensively, whether it's holding onto the ball, Victor Loturi's played very smart, controlling the games, working his backside off as well. Victor Loturi is trying to do his absolute best every single performance, and he looks to be like someone who you can get on the pitch in your starting 11, whether it's CF Montreal, whether he works his way into the national team eventually. that he's going to give you a 7 out of 10 or at least a 6.5 out of 10. Victor Laturi very rarely drops an absolute stinker. He very rarely will have a huge blunder, but he is doing decently well this season. It's nothing major to write home about, but it's still being a decent campaign for Victor Laturi returning to Canada and to Canadian football. But in this match for Victor Laturi, he managed an 8.2 rating against Inter Miami, scoring that one goal in the 92nd minute, playing all 90 minutes, and scoring on his only shot in the game, which is still very impressive. Accurate passes, 61 for 69, 0.55 XG, and even creating some chances in this match, as Victor Laturi created 2 chances, only for a 0.04 XG, but it's still 2 chances created. 81 touches in this match, 1 touch in the opposition box, 10 passes into the final third, 3 for 3 accurate long balls, and defensively working his backside off as a dog in the heart of the midfield. 4 recoveries, 4 defensive actions, and 2 interceptions for Victor Laturi, and also winning 5 of his 6 ground duels and earning 3 fouls. Yes, it wasn't a good performance from CF Montreal, but we still had a few good performances from Canadians, and Victor Laturi definitely shone for Canadians in CF Montreal starting lineup. But also, it's time to see the honorable mention of the week, because it's very interesting to choose who the honorable mention was, and it was a standout, and someone who is very exciting in the CPL. Moving to the honorable mention, which will be from Forge FC in Royce Masonda. Masonda had a great performance for Forge in a big matchup against Cavalry in a rivalry game, in a game where they needed to get something out of this, and the 19-year-old Canadian winger had a great performance. Was the man of the match as a 19-year-old in a huge game for Forge where they went down early in the 2nd minute against Cavalry. Royce Masonda came back. He rose. He stood up to the occasion. Had a beautiful assist. Yes, some could say he was lucky. He did hook it back into the box, put it in a very dangerous area, kicked it from behind his head, and it was a great ball. Yes, it wasn't technical. He just put the ball in a dangerous area, and it worked out very well. But he had a good performance throughout the entire match. As a 19-year-old Canadian for Forge, and a side who continues to find fantastic talent, Masonda might just be another one of them. As he finished as the player of the match between Forge FC and Cavalry, getting an 8.0 match rating, and was the most accurate passer to play 45 minutes or more, as he played 68 minutes and managed to get the player of the game. It was a stalemate of a game between Forge and Cavalry, which saw the sides draw 1-1 from a Sergio Camargo goal, as well as a Forge goal, which was assisted by Royce Masonda. Going 68 minutes, 1 assist, 2 total shots, and 100% accurate passes, going 13 for 13, creating 2 chances, 2 blocked shots, which were both of his shots, 25 touches as a winger, getting on the ball very well, not scared to get involved, which is very exciting for a 19-year-old winger, 2 for 2 successful dribbles, as well as 1 pass into the final third. Defensively, also working very hard, which is very exciting for a young talent. 2 recoveries, 3 defensive actions, 1 interception, headed clearance, and clearance for Royce Masonda. And also winning 4 for 5 ground duels. It was a great performance for the young Canadian winger, the most accurate passer throughout 45 minutes or more, player of the game throughout only 68 minutes, in a rivalry game between Cavalry and Forge, in a game where Forge truly needed something at home, and now are equal on points with Cavalry sitting in 3rd and 4th place respectively, as Cavalry are now in 3rd place, Forge are in 4th place, both tied on 14 points, and both in terrific form currently this season, and Masonda is my honorable mention of the week. But moving on to the clear and obvious Canadian of the week, there was no debating this one. It was Tani Oluwaseyi, and Tani time truly can't be stopped. This is a watch, this is a ticking time bomb, and Tani Oluwaseyi continues to score by any means necessary, which is incredible. It's very exciting, and it's in a Minnesota side that isn't playing great football. Yes, they're winning games. Yes, they're getting the job done. But they're not holding a lot of the ball. They're not creating loads of chances. This is a side that averages very low possession stats throughout every single match. But yet, Tani Oluwaseyi still manages to consistently get himself on the score sheet. And not just once, he did it twice, scoring 2 goals for Minnesota United in their 3-2 victory over Seattle Sounders, thanks to Tani Oluwaseyi scoring in the 51st and 58th minute. And this now puts Minnesota United back into 3rd place and sitting tied for 2nd with San Diego FC. Minnesota United on 17 games played, 30 points, and a plus 10 goal differential, which is incredible for a side that soak up pressure, don't worry about holding a lot of the ball, and hit you on the counter, which is very difficult for a Tani Oluwaseyi who loves to press, loves to play very exciting football on the front foot, but he's still managing to score goals, he's still finishing his chances, and he's still playing very exciting football. But Tani Oluwaseyi finished this game on a 9.1 rating, and of course, the player of the match. Having 2 player of the matches, 2 man of the matches in my Canadians of the week for Oluwaseyi and Masonda. Having a 9.1 match rating, and Tani could have had a hat-trick as he hit the woodwork once on his 6 shots. And he did lose, unfortunately, the most duels in this match, losing 11 duels throughout this game, which is very unfortunate, but that doesn't matter because definitely he scored his 2 goals, and that is all that matters for a striker. As he went 90 minutes, going the depth, also having 2 goals on 6 shots, having lots of chances for a team who doesn't get a lot of the ball. 12 for 15 accurate passes for 80%, a 1.41 XG, as well as a 0.03 XA. Having 3 of 6 shots on target, 2 big chances missed throughout his 90 minutes, 1 block shot, 1 that hit the woodwork, as well as 2 for 6 successful dribbles, and dispossessed twice. Defensively, 3 defensive actions, 2 recoveries, and like I said, losing the most duels throughout any player with 11, but that doesn't matter because he got the job done for his Minnesota United side, winning 3-2 against Seattle Sounders. Very exciting week for Canadians with Lazar Stefanovic, Victor Laturi, Masonda in the CPL, and Tani Oluwaseyi taking the Canadian of the week. Very exciting time for Canadians with the Canadian Shield rolling up. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Would you have changed anything? Who would have been your Canadians of the week? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. The support has been absolutely incredible, guys, and I truly appreciate it. Smash that like button, hit that sub button. Let's continue to move to 650 subscribers. The support is truly incredible, and I really appreciate it, guys. I'll see you for the next one. Peace.